Good morning and welcome to the It's All Greek to Me blog tour. I'm Dr. Paul Kiritsis and this is blog number 20. Today we're going to be talking about Minoan lunar consciousness, tackling a very speculative issue from a metaphysical and psychological perspective. Much speculation surrounds the Minoan civilization, especially when it comes to issues surrounding racial identity and socio-political concerns, hoping to pinpoint the period in which the first Minoans actually settled Crete. What remains certain is that these peoples evolved into a highly sophisticated matriarchal culture, and probably reached their apogee during the later stages of the Taurian age. Sadly, the precessional shift into the Aryan age brought with it a patriarchal and war-loving consciousness that was not only alien to, but wholly antagonistic towards the primitive matriarchies and their tranquil mode of being. Hence, an unconscious reaction on their part was to develop natural defences to guard against probable incursions. The Minoans used the wood of cypresses and oak trees from the forests that blanketed the Cretan mountains to build a powerful fleet, a stealthy thalassocratia or seaborne empire, and proceeded to fortify their temple palaces with stone walls. As a Bronze Age culture, Minoan Crete was to become increasingly marginalized until about 1645 BCE, a date which corresponds with the eruption of Thera. The paroxysm was an event which brutally crippled the Minoan defences and left the temple palaces open to attack. Bearing witness to this crack of doom, it wouldn't have been long before the Mycenaean mercenaries set up from their Grecian shores to invade the island. The Age of Taurus was a period ruled by the planet Venus and exalted by the moon. Those born under the stars of this primordial era would have been communal in their nature, and the collective thought forms of the time would have been entirely focused upon the night sky and attempting to make sense out of which celestial events gave rise to wholly favourable or unfavourable consequences for creatures inhabiting the earth below. Therefore, it appears that whilst the astronomer priestesses of Knossos were marking out the historical foundation of their empire in the stars based on a few inwardly felt archetypes, they were concurrently tracking the motion of groups of constellations, individual bright stars, planets, and other astral bodies with great interest. As progenitor of nature's waxing and waning metabolic processes that include the surge of the ocean tides, the seasons, and their microcosmic reflection in the mammalian menstrual cycle and the mental psychic state of the human being, the moon would have been an obvious choice. In fact, if one observes the nocturnal skies of the winter solstice from the south entrance of the Cnossian temple palace, he or she would see that the sphere of the moon rises to the mount of the heaven from in amongst the horns of the celestial bull. In light of this information, we can conclude that the gargantuan set of limestone horns that stand in their vicinity of the Cnossian ruins today weren't purely coincidental, but encompassed a practicable purpose, serving the Minoans in the manner that an astronomical clock built into a community bell tower serves people of our urbanized areas today. It measured several cosmic cycles, some of which include lunisolar nutation, the 12 lunar months, and the rising and setting of the 12 constellations during the length of the solar year. As a multifaceted chronometer of time, the Cnossian horns of consecration was superior to its artificial equivalent, which remains a morbid construct of human limitation, chiefly because it appropriated the star-spangled body of the Great Mother Goddess, or the Milky Way, if you like, to ordain communal activities and movements without exhausting any natural resources or reserves. Save for the moon, there is also ample evidence to suggest that the astronomer priestesses of Knossos would have busied themselves trying to follow the inferior conjunctions of the Venusian sphere. Like the moon, Venus exhibits phases of waxing and waning, which would have implicated its wholly feminine spirit early on. One can only marvel at the scintillating light that comes from this, the brightest of luminaries in the night skies, as it appears near the eastern horizon at dawn and then again near the western horizon at dusk. More so, it is the only sphere to weave such a distinct and definitive geometrical pattern in its sidereal dance around our own planet. It takes roughly about 8 years and 1 day for Venus to plait an imaginary 5-petaled rose or 5-pointed pentagram about the Earth, with the 5 synodic periods of the 8-year cycle each transcribing the discernible shape of a love heart. And that pattern looks like this. The astronomer priestesses who tracked its movements during the inception of the Taurian age, would have been no less astounded by the planet's adherence to this geometrical law, a celestial signature unique in the heavens which not only stood as an eternal reassurance of cosmic truth and order, but was itself the cornerstone which imbued quantitative value with a qualitative judgment. What is meant by this is that the astronomer priestesses would have perceived beauty and harmony in the celestial goddess's geometrical journey through space. In hindsight, who could blame them? Could anything be more beautiful, mystical, or harmonious for an unaided observer of the heavens than an 8-year cycle that unraveled the secrets of numerical creation in the order of 1, 5, 8, etc., through a sympathetic association between the 5-pointed star or pentagram, the 5-petaled rose, and the heart, and, dare I say it, the apple? Whilst the apple is often implicated as an implement of the goddess in myth, not many people know of its link with the celestial Venus. It appears that acuity in astronomical observation was balanced by acuity in agriculture and hunting, and the priestesses that concerned themselves with the latter would have discerned that the arrangement of the piths enclosed within the flesh of the apple mirrored the divinely inspired movements of the goddess. And of course, here is an apple. And when we cut it in half, ta-da! Here we have pretty much the geometrical pattern which the celestial Venus weaves in sidereal space around our planet. So there's a very, very, very tangible connection there. Because the Venusian cycle added a multi-dimensional tier of intellectual understanding and emotional value to geometrical form, the Cnossian astronomer priestesses went to great lengths to replicate and incorporate it into their frenzied and ecstatic dance patterns. The movements of the dance patterns themselves proceeded in spirals, meanders, and other labyrinthine motions and sought to attract to the intoxicated supplicant the psychic conditions necessary for an encounter with the numinous Great Mother Goddess. Archaeological evidence has since revealed that labyrinthine patterns symbolizing celestial events were inscribed onto the floor of the Cnossian temple palace. The same motifs appear again on 2 Cnossian coins which date to Classical Greek period, so roughly 350 BCE, one of which is adorned with a symbol of a crescent and the other a rose. Not only do these coins preserve the memory of celestial dance patterns based upon a primordial cosmology, they clearly identify the objects of veneration, the moon and Venus, respectively. I think that the question that remains to be answered is rudimentary to the study of consciousness. Why did the astronomer priestesses of Knossos track the precise movements of these 2 planetary bodies with such vigour in the first place? Was there a living, interactive energy streaming between the heavens and the earth? Was there a tangible energy between the planetary forces, the natural elements, and human consciousness, a byproduct of intuition felt by our ancient ancestors, which is now lost to us? The modern-day orthodox religion of quantitative analysis that parades under the guise of science and critical inquiry won't be offering up any answers to those questions anytime soon, seeing that any such acknowledgement would inevitably rock the materialistic foundations upon which its entire cosmogony has been built. Further, it would require a conciliation of spirit and matter, 2 qualities that have been divorced from one another since the time of René Descartes. There's no way that modern science would ever do that. It would be sacrilege, like reverting to the world of our primordial ancestors, a world of primitive superstition and irrational fear, and admitting they were right for perceiving no clear distinction between the world of spirits and the world of matter.